The Center for Educational Media and the College of Education at Middle Tennessee State University are proud to offer professional development to K-12 educators in Tennessee through our online video library. The following video is presented by the Center for Educational Media in partnership with Professional Educators of Tennessee's Leader U Conference. For more professional development videos, check out our website at www.mtsu.edu/CEM.
I am Stacia Anglin, and I'm on the board of directors for PET, and I get the honor of introducing Dr. John Fanning. Our session this time is Telling Your School Story, the importance of branding and controlling the narrative. Dr. John Fanning has 26 years in education, with 21 of those in administration. He is currently serving as the Assistant Director of Schools, Supervisor of 9 through 12, and Public Relations Supervisor for Lincoln County Schools in Fayetteville, Tennessee. Dr. Fanning has served as a principal in both Tennessee and Alabama, with experience in K through 12. Prior to entering administration, he served as a high school history teacher. Dr. Fanning earned his BS degree from Cumberland University and his MED, EDS, and EDD from Tennessee State University. His research focused on branding and digital engagement. And I'd like for you all to help me welcome Dr. John Fanning.
Well, my session today is Telling Your School Story, and I'm going to start off with the way that I used to start every year when I taught American history. There were people that came into my class every year that did not love history. I was one of those that from the time that I was in second grade, I could name every president in order. And it was just something that I loved. It was just, I enjoyed it. But I knew that when I would go into that classroom, not everybody loved it. They just thought, okay, this is boring stuff. It's about people that I don't even know. But I started every year with this. Take the word history. What do you see in it? What is it to you?
Story.
A story. I would tell them to cover the HI, and then what do you have? And in order to get them engaged, I had to make certain that they understood this is a story about your parents and what they went through. This is a story about your grandparents and what they went through. And this is a story about your ancestors and how you got here. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. I left the classroom in 2000. And my first job was an assistant principal in Alabama. It was a middle school. I really left the classroom long before I thought I would want to. And I will say, like a lot of people, those years in the classroom are those still my favorite 5 in my career. But I went to work for a gentleman that really was big in the effective schools movement. He looked at those 7 correlates. He truly believed in them. But one of the correlates that caught my attention, but it was the positive school-home relations and how communications could really help draw the stakeholders in, could bring parents together, students together, and all those that are involved in the child's life. With that being said, he used to joke that he wanted communication to go out by email, by all call, by hard copy. He even said if I could get it on somebody's electric toothbrush in the morning, I would make certain I could get it there. He just really believed in that. So I spent about 3 years there, went on to the high school as a high school principal. What caught my attention there, we needed to make a huge push to try to make certain that our stakeholders knew everything that was going on in our high school. So we started a daily newsletter. So it was an electronic newsletter that was sent out every day. And we would build on that newsletter. We would utilize it with the website to make certain, if somebody got a scholarship or if Jostens or Balfour was going to be there, we wanted everyone to be in the know what was going on in our building. So I did that for about 7 years, came back home to Lincoln County. And the one thing, I still had that passion. I wanted to continue communicating. I wanted to tell the school story. And this was long before, like Todd Whitaker was talking about Monday's memos and things like that. But I really I really got into the communications part. So I ended up going to a K-8 school. I actually had the opportunity to take over the principal who was actually my elementary principal. And that was an exciting time for me. But the one thing that I noticed when I got there, the phone was ringing all the time. And my secretary was having to say, well, no, the yearbook pictures are going to be taken this day. No, the ball game starts at this time. And just on and on. Well, shortly after I got there, I got to hire a new assistant principal, and she joined me. And I told my secretaries, we're going to stop this nonsense, because I said, y'all are wearing yourself out answering the phone with questions that we need to get out there. So we pull them in, we talk to them, and I said, we're going to have the best website this county has ever seen. We're going to push for everything to be on it. And I sort of told them how I had been doing at the high school level. And for example, Miss Love, who was my secretary, one of the best secretaries I've ever had. But I said, this is what I need you to do. If they call and say, what time does Harvest Festival start? I said, you know it's going to start at 4:30, but don't say 4:30. Hold on 1 second, I need to check the website. She would pause. Okay, I'm looking at the website, it says 4:30. So we made certain that we started putting everything. So even when I did an all call, if it was about whatever it was about, if a ball game was canceled, I would always end for more information, visit the school's website. Well, Ms. Turpin and I was on the administrative team, and we decided that we wanted to have a Facebook page. There hadn't been a Facebook page in Lincoln County, or at that time. Director of schools, I went to her, who was a former teacher of mine, and she said, I don't know. Social media, it's just, people can get on there and say some bad stuff. And that is true, but I was able to win her over, and she said, okay, you can start it. So shortly after we started, every school was doing a Facebook page or Twitter. So that's been a passion of mine, because I want people to know the good things going on in the school. Now, luckily, I don't know, I ended up going to a conference, and I think that conference was, I was able to go because of my boss, Dr. Bill Heath, and I got to see Eric Shenenger, who wrote a book called Branded. And when I read his book, I knew this is what I wanted to do. So at the encouragement of my boss, I started on my doctoral degree, and I thought, this is what I'm going to do. So that is my story, guys. That's the history of John Fanning on where we are today. So now we're going to get started on this, and I'm going to break this up in a couple different ways. Tell me, guys, what branding means to you. Can anybody say anything?
A label, a trademark.
A label, a trademark.
Making yourself recognizable.
Making yourself recognizable.
What you're known for.
What you're known for. Could it be an image? Could it be a feeling? Okay. Well, some people, when I say branded, they think that I'm going to brand some type of livestock. And that was the first branding. But then you look here, we see all those labels. If we think about Coca-Cola, if we think about John Deere, I was raised on a farm and everything, everybody believes John Deere is the best tractor. They keep going and everything, going and going and going. And this is what you pointed out a while ago. It can be a name, it can be a logo, identity, colors, marketing strategy. Well, I want to show you a little video. So with that said, let's look at something that Shenenger stated. He said, branding matters in the changing world of learning, fueled by powerful digital resources. Branding was at one time only viewed as a tool in the business world, but school systems have realized that using the tool of branding now enables them to tell their stories. Telling your school stories today has never been easier. With the digital resources of websites, social media accounts, and apps, school districts can now stream information to parents in ways that were not possible even 10 years ago. Branded messages are a place where stakeholders are gathered online or in real times. Branding has long been examined in the business world, but we are just now beginning to gather the impact of branding our schools. When my boss came to our county, the one thing that I heard him say, we want to brand the district. He wanted a hashtag, and that hashtag has extremely grown, and we try to place it everywhere. But Shenenger's work, he looked at how the business world transcended over into the education setting. And the research that was showing that what I began to look at, branding really started in the universities. That's the first place that it was used in the education settings. So branding items. Branding is the name attached to a product. We've already mentioned that a while ago. Brand represents a collection of feelings, perceptions about the quality, the image, the lifestyle, and status. It creates perception, identification, emotion, service design, positioning, marketing attributes, relevance to the customer, a promise back to you. Service design clues is a clear message focus, taglines, name, logos, color, imagery. One thing that I'm still working on in our district is, I'm wanting to put a brand package together to where we have exactly what color is our school colors, what PMI are we going to use, what font are we going to use on our letterheads. One of the things that we've talked about in our district, we've got some letterhead like a lot of districts. Well, we've used this letterhead for a long time, we just keep doing it. But we really needed to put the hashtag on it. We need to go with school colors. I know a lot of the schools in the district, they've transitioned and taking some of their letterheads, making certain everything matches. So that's some things that the items that we talk about. Now, branding through positioning prompts. Let's talk about this. Quality, the perception of quality, one of the most important elements of the brand. Value added to the service. When you think bumper to bumper, what do you think of?
One-stop shop.
A one-stop shop, but if you're getting to bumper coverage,
The whole thing.
the whole thing, but we're talking about maybe an automobile or something like that. But let's think about something. Perception, the quality that's important, the value of the service. What we in schools have got to do, we've got to make certain that we let parents know that the value of education we're providing their child is what that child needs. Rivalry position compared to others. If I hear one thing from the leader in my district, he always tells our principals, we are no longer the only game in town. Now guys, I grew up in Lincoln County. Lincoln County for so many years, we had one high school. And when the city school system, they went to 9th grade, they then left and came to the county high school. Since I graduated from high school, we've got a private school system. So we've actually got a private and 2 public school systems. So when he makes the statement, it puts pressure on us in a good way that we're not the only game in town. Therefore, we have to let people know what type of product that we are providing, because we want people to know what service that we provide. Also, the emotion, the desire to connect with the customer in an emotional way. When we place things on social media, we want it to sort of grab your attention. We want it to be our story. Why do you send your child to our school system? What can we offer your child that someone else can't? Branding opportunities. DeWitt says branding is seizing the opportunity to tell customers, students, and parents and community members why your school is the best. For schools, branding can be the process of sharing positive news and reframing negative narratives about education. Now, folks, if you're in education, you know there's going to be some times that we have to deal with some negative news. But the one thing that social media allows us to do, we can tell the story, we can get out in front of the story sometimes, and we can try to make certain that we get our point out first. Now, I'm going to be the first to tell you, in Lincoln County, we have a hashtag called 1LC. And we are 1LC. We want everyone to all work together. But when it talks about why your school is the best, when I was the principal, even though I want everybody else to do well, believe me, I wanted to make certain everybody thought my school was the best. I thought it was. And I made certain that I put that message out there. When it said that South Lincoln was the top 10% by the Educators Consumers Foundation, I wanted to make certain that they knew it. We put a sign up in that building big enough that wherever parent that walked in, whether it was a ball game, they knew it. If you're a reward school, we wanted them to know it. What's types of video branding? I'm going to give you an example. There's a gentleman in our district who used to be the principal of the high school. And if anybody ever loved it, at the time he did not know what he's doing video branding. But let's just say he would be on the sidelines in the football game with his phone. Here he's going this way and here he's going that way because he was trying to pull as many clips as he could to put on Facebook because he wanted to showcase what was going on in the school system. That's video branding. I mean, if the ROTC was out there performing, he was out there videoing. If the dance team was out there on the football field, he's showing. If the basketball team, he's out there videoing. So he was trying to brand and highlight the things going on in his building. Visual branding. When you see that, what do you think about? Hamburgers. My wife would tell you that if I saw that, she knows that I'm going to be going buying a number 6 combo, which is 2 original cheeseburgers and fries. But I know it's a hamburger that I like, whether I go in Murfreesboro, whether I go to Detroit, whether I go to Florida. I know that I can get those 2 cheeseburgers that's going to be the same, hopefully, everywhere. Event branding. How has that changed in our district? Well, now when we have college career night, you have all the colleges that show up. They've got their backdrops. Believe me, we load that backdrop up. We go out there. We put it up. We put every picture that we've got. We showcase the 1LC hashtag because we're trying to recruit those students to go in education. If it's a job fair, we're going to try to make certain that we recruit. Whether it's, believe me folks, it's hard to get teachers, you know that. I want to think that when the school year ended, we still had 3 custodial position opens. And that's an issue everywhere. And it seems like, I think we just need to put one up all year long, not take it down, and that may help. But we're trying to draw people in. Content branding. Now, this is talking about blog. Now, that's the one item I've not got into as far as blog. I've got a friend in Alabama that he blogs weekly. He really gets into it, and it works for him. Audio branding. There are actually some schools that actually has a radio station within their building. There are some school systems that actually, for example, on a Friday night, you got a football game, they will actually pay for one of their little 10-second ads to go because they're trying to brand something about their school or their district. When you see that image, what do you think? Computer, but I want to tell you what I think. I think, okay, awesome product, reliable. Those that work with me or know me, I'm an Apple fan, but it's just, I like it because it's a product, I can buy it. And by the way, I don't work for Apple. If I say anything about any company, I'm not being paid by anyone. But if I buy an Apple, everything's going to come on it. Sometimes if I buy, just a PC, I got to buy this and I got to buy this because I'm trying to get all this. But it's my go-to. What do you think?
Hash brown casserole.
She says hash brown casserole, pinto beans. But when I see that, I think about my grandparents. If I used to travel with them, this is what my grandmother would say. We can stop at the Cracker Barrel because we know we're going to get a good meal and they have clean bathrooms. And for the most part, that is true. But that is the brand, that is the image that we have in our mind, or a lot of people have. And that's what we're wanting schools, or I'm wanting schools to do. I want, when they see a certain image or certain logo, They know what that school or that system is all about. When you see that, what do you think?
13 national titles.
Turned my stomach.
Yes. As a Tennessee fan, what I see in that, it's going to be a sad third Saturday in October. And the only time that I ever am happy when I see that is my wife is an Auburn grad. Thank God Auburn sometimes beats them. And if you're an Alabama fan, I don't mean to offend you.
And I'm a UT fan, just to set the record straight.
Okay.
We got baseball to watch.
Right. But one of the things that I point out about this picture, their football program is branded. They don't have to do a lot of recruiting. People want to go there. They've got a great law school that a lot of people want to get in. So they have got a brand. They have got an image. They've got, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but they've got an image, they've got a promise, and they've got a result. Your child goes there, it's a good chance, well, you're going to get a good education. 2, you're going to end up maybe playing for a national championship. What do you think when you see that?
Smart people.
Smart people. But probably not winning football. I'm going to tell you what I think about. I can remember shortly after my wife and I got married, I was having problems with our dryer. Well, if you know the lint coil or whatever that the lint goes out, it had come unhooked. So my dad came over and he said, well, I'm gonna fix that for you. Just pull this dryer up and I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna fix it for you. Well, we probably need to unhook it, Dad. Oh no, it's fine. Next thing I know, I feel a jolt. He's got a jolt. I drop it. It breaks his wrist, I guess, when I drop it. But the good thing was the doctor said by me dropping it and it splitting his wrist and bleeding, it allowed the electricity to go out and therefore it did not kill him. When I think about this, I can remember him being med-flighted. And I can remember going by this sign on the way to Vanderbilt Medical, and I know my dad's in good hands. Because in my mind, the image they give to me is if you're really in crises, that's where I want to be headed. So they've got that brand, they've got that image. Rebranding, identifying customer needs for school, advancing student achievement. Well, what does that mean? When I was in high school, I really don't know if we announced the amount of money that's been awarded in scholarships. We do now. Because just I think last week, it was like we had 6 million, one school had 3.6 million, one at 1.2. But we are trying to make certain that we are showing that students can advance. We're advancing achievement, employing and retaining caring teachers and staff. It is hard to find quality teachers. I talked to a principal in our district today, and I'll be honest with you, we used to have so many people that would apply. And it's like probably in the systems you're in, it's you don't have as many applicants now. But we want to employ, retain caring teachers. Well, how many of you live in an area where they sell nutritional drinks? Do you like anybody like nutritional drinks in here? Well, our teachers love it so much that we decided that we need to do something. So our wonderful leader decided we are going to purchase a nutritional drink for every staff member in the district. So it went over extremely, extremely well. So did I take pictures and put that on social media? Yes. We decided that, when teachers came back this year for Institute, or the first day of school, they got to arrive and there was a coffee truck out there. Did I take pictures? Yes. We're employing, we're retaining, we're caring for the teachers. Come work for us. I mean, we live in a district. Let me explain what we're doing. We truly believe that we need to take care of teachers in our district. But we also can drive 15 minutes into Alabama, where we're located, and any teacher could have like a $10,000 raise. Now, that's not going to be everywhere in Alabama, but we're neighboring just north of Huntsville, Alabama, and the pay there, is really good. But what we have found out through our surveys, if we treat people the way they want to be treated and we respect them, that goes a long way in employing and retaining those teachers. Demonstrating evidence of quality teaching. We make certain that we recognize and go out of the way when we have Teachers of the Year for each school. We have a banquet for them. We make certain that we take pictures. We recorded it this year, and so everyone could see. But we wanted to show those evidence of quality teaching. Expanding student access to extracurricular opportunities. We want people involved. We said that if you're going to school, we know that maybe not every person can play football, not every person has the talent of playing music, but we want every kid to be involved in something. Logo, tagline, simple shape, strong colors, Falcon blue in our district, that's something big. I mean, I can remember in high school that on a Friday afternoon, you could go to any bank in town and they were wearing a football jersey. And I mean, when you have one school in the district, you can do that. But now we've got multiple schools, and our businesses are very good about supporting each of the districts in our county. Touch points, how it looks, feel, smell, when to enter, exit, feelings, communications. Employees believe in the brand. Now, my former assistant principal may laugh when I talk about the smell when we enter. I used to work, as I said, in Alabama, and we had this guy that came around, and I stole his idea. He believed everything needed to smell good. That's the first thing when you walk into the building. You don't want bathrooms to be smelling when parents or visitors come in. So needless to say, we always made certain that we bought everything that we could to keep the things straight. I had a friend who used to work at a neighboring school system, and she used to call her assistant principal and say, listen, I'm at this conference and I want you to know I've got you a Christmas gift. I bought you some pea eliminator. And that is a product. And it's an enzyme killer. And we all were buying it in Lincoln County because, we believe in, we want to make certain these bathrooms smell good. Even to the point that, how many of you, like when you walk into a restaurant and you go into the bathrooms, on the back of the door, you see that sheet where it's got the date, when it's been mopped, when the bathroom's been checked? I happen to be one of those principals that created it for a school, and my custodians had to go in there and they had to mark it when they went in and checked the bathroom and what they did. And I told them, I'm really just making you guys shine. I had one custodian, you're making us look bad. No, I'm wanting you to go in here and mark this, and the parents are going to love this. So it took a little persuasion and selling, but it worked. Now, switching gears, why did I decide to research branding? Well, it was a dearth of research. Big word, for there wasn't any research there. Experience from school leaders' perspectives. Everything that I could find in dissertations, it came from the parents. What did the parents think about using social media or digital engagement? I wanted to look at the school leaders' perspective. Knowledge of how branding could help schools tell their stories in low media markets. In our district, we have one newspaper. It comes out once a week. If something happens in our district that we want to be broadcast, oftentimes we may have to wait 2 weeks. I mean, they try their best to get it in there, but we may have to wait 2 weeks before it gets in there. So lots of times before it comes out, we can take to the website, we can take to social media, and we can tell our story. Digital engagement and branding, I wanted to look at that, but also wanted to look at the rural area perspective. Going back, I mean, we don't live in Chattanooga or Nashville where we can call up a news station. Now, they do sometimes come. It's like when you don't want them to come. But we want to make sure that we share the positive news. So what did I look at? Well, what does branding look like in a rural Mid-South school district? What does branding look like in a school district with low media coverage? What are rural school leaders' beliefs about the branding process? In what ways have school leaders used branding in their rural districts? What do rural school leaders believe to be some of the benefits of the branding process? And what do rural school leaders believe to be some of the challenges? So I was fortunate enough that I took 2 districts And I was able to interview those principals and those district leaders. And in going through the literature, what did I find? So the themes that came out when I was searching, the business model crossover. It did start in the business, but then we've transitioned in the school. Stakeholder engagement, huge in the research. Choice and competition. If a school don't shine and make a certain grade, they can go to another school. So we wanted to look at that. Digital presence. Now, branded theory. Shenenger says you got tenets of branding. What Shenenger, though, didn't do, he did not call it his theory. He said it was his tenets of branding. But if you've had to work on a dissertation, you've got to come up with a theory to back what you're wanting to do. So I just happened to turn it into a theory, and I did get approval from Eric Shenenger. I emailed him, and he is an awesome person. He will email, if you email him, he will email you back. And I told him what I was going to do. So let's think about it. You got the image, the promise, the results. Just like we talked about, say, Cracker Barrel. They've got that image that we know. That promise for that restaurant is you're going to get a good meal. The results, you're going to be happy with it. But with a school, what are you trying to create? You got that image. You're trying to tell that story about your school. You've got the promise. What is the goals? And then hopefully you're going to tell what's going on with the school. Just like if the test results come out at the end of the year, we're going to make certain that they know. So these are the findings of my research that I recommended. It is recommended that school leaders who are not currently using digital tools to brand should start immediately. Now, if you're a school leader and you don't enjoy it, it's not your passion, find someone either in the district or in your building. There's one principal in our district. I say that she wears her phone almost like a sidearm because she's just constantly going from room to room, taking pictures, and she's telling the story. School leaders must move from using social media to inform to intentionally build a brand. Just taking pictures, that's one thing, but think through when you're placing that picture or that video. I mean, if you're highlighting the teacher of the year, you're saying that is a teacher, a great teacher. Let's just say that you got a teacher that moves on to the state level. You're going to promote it because you're wanting to tell a story. School principals and superintendents must allow time for information sharing and brand management to connect, engage, and develop a brand for their community. And it does take time, folks, but I truly believe in this day and time there's a need. School leaders must obtain training on the digital branding practice to inform them of the benefits and the challenges. If I didn't have a passion for it, I wouldn't know really why to use it. So that's the reason I try to tell people, this is what you need to do. Think about this. If you don't want to do it, get someone in your building to do it. Colleges that offer educational leadership programs should include social media and marketing training for branding strategies to train the future school administrators. So those were the findings. So now I'm going to switch gear again. You know the story, why I got into it. You know what branding is. You know what the research showed. So what could you in your district or you in your school do with the communication plan? Who are your key members? Well, you got the school admin sitting in the center. You got your front desk, which I call them the first line of defense. Social media person, webmaster, grade level contacts, parent organizations. All those pieces need to be working together to make certain that good communication is going out of your school. How do you do information sharing? You got social media, yearbook, teacher newsletters, website, PTO. A lot of schools now, their PTO has their own social media page, and I think that's good as long as your PTO is on the same page with you and you're communicating the same things or going in the same direction. School-based communication teams, what do they need to be doing? Share content, share best practices, increase the stakeholder engagement, and look out for all areas of the school. Now, that share best practices, if somebody will remind me at the end, unless I forget, I'd like to hear from you, because if you're doing something in your school or you're doing something in your district, I'd like to know what is the best practice that you've got going or that you would share with. Let's look at the website. Most, if not all, outgoing communication should first live on the school website. It's true. All websites tell a story. What story does your website tell? Now, we have what is known as a website audit that we try to do in our district. So maybe one supervisor will take one school and we'll say, go through that, see if there's anything that they need to improve on, if they got something missing. And I sometimes will go and search different school systems just to see what their website's showing. Is it something I want to steal? I'm all for stealing if it's good ideas. But sometimes wherever you work, take 10 minutes to look at your website and just click through and really focus on what that story is saying. What should you be doing this summer or the start of the year? Well, you need to ensure upcoming events is prominently displayed. We've all probably got summer school going on. We need to have that there. Ensure the board, the approved school calendar, is easily accessible. Why? Because parents need to plan for their vacation. Ensure school supply lists are displayed and are current. Ensure faculty and staff listing is current. I went to one website and I thought, they always have a really good website. I'm going to check and see what they've got. I may want to steal their idea. The only problem is I saw one of my friends who had died that was still on their website. So that is something that you need to check. Ensure faculty and staff bios do not reference specific years unless updated. If you go to our district, I'm going to go in and I'm going to change it every year. Like I just finished 26 years, it's going to be 27 next year. You can go on some websites and says, I'm starting my 13th year. Well, that person's been teaching 25 years. They've not gone back in there. So as a principal, you need to encourage teachers to go in and update. Ensure the handbook has been uploaded. That's something parents are going to look at. School contact info should be easy to locate. I've gone to some websites just to look and I can't even find the number, how to call them. Best practices. What should you do weekly? If you're a teacher and you work with the school website, or if you're a principal, or if you're work in the central office, what would your goal should be? A minimum of one new homepage photo per week. Arranged to be first in the slideshow, newest photo first. Ideally, photos should hyperlink to related news posts. And what that means, if you've played with your website before, if you put a picture on there, most websites will allow you to hyperlink. Like for example, if you've got a story on your website, but then you take a picture, you can actually hyperlink that picture, the big picture, to where then it will pop open your news story. So it's just an easy way to showcase some things. Populate appropriate calendar events as needed. Do not let your calendar show upcoming events. Now I'm going to share with you something that happened in our district, and I thought, what is going on? Well, it started backfilling our calendar. For example, it went from it went from May one year. It says May, April, and it was just pushing everything backwards. Well, what most website companies do, if you do not put something current that's upcoming, it will backfill it from the most recent backwards. So that's the one thing that you need to make certain. So if you want to put anything on there and you don't have time to put when school starts, therefore it will not backflow. A minimum of one new headline in the latest news on the homepage, and try to do that weekly. Monthly, sweep the entire site. Check for dead links. Check for outdated forms and stories. Check faculty staff listings. In other words, if you got someone that passed, somebody retired, someone left to go to another school, get that fixed. Remove dated photos. In other words, don't have a Halloween photo in December. I mean, you have some other pictures of what that went on in October, the month of Halloween, but just no Halloween pictures. So what should you do at the end of the school year? Remove the current calendar, remove outdated documents, remove outdated school supply lists, remove faculty who've resigned, retired, remove outdated seasonal pictures, upload general photos for the summer, remove any irrelevant or prior school year specific content, populate the site with summer reminders about camps, tutoring, etc. Update the school calendar with all events scheduled for the upcoming school year. One thing I've already done, I guess it was on the last day of school, it was a half a day, had graduation that night, so I took next year's calendar. I've already gone onto the website and everything for next school year is already there. Athletic teams should update the schedules for upcoming school year once they have them. I was sort of tough as far as a principal about the coaches. I had some coaches that bought into it. I wanted them to make certain that they took their page and took passion. And if they didn't want to as the head coach, they didn't have to do it. They could get their assistant coach to do it. Website, let the numbers do the talking. This is just a generic. But for example, that's April 2020 to 21. And you can see the total visits were 63,000. If we go to the next year, the total visits is up to 89,000. So this is actually something that you can go into Facebook and you can look at the analytics to where you can see how many total visits you got and page views. For example, in our district, this was taken in March of last year. I didn't update it for this year, but for example, that is the number of hits that we had. But for example, you can look at SAL is South Lincoln, that is our largest K-8 school. So they've got a lot of hits. Blanche is our smallest K-8 school, but they're still way up there. But the one thing, they've got a support staff person who is really big into the website, social media, therefore that makes them have a little bit of attraction and following. So what's the difference in visits, page views, targeted visits? Explain. Total visits is the number of people who have visited a given section. A visitor may have looked at one page, several pages, or all pages. Total page views is the combined number of views from each page with a specific section on the website. And then your total target visit is the number of people who left the website after visiting the page or section, or they navigated against. So again, if you are in charge of your website or you've got someone that works for you, they can go in and run the analytics and all the Facebook, especially as far as the analytics. So who is your audience? Well, your current parents. You want to make certain that you're updating it for them. For your employees, you know, if an employee doesn't remember the date, they're going to, let's just say, for example, progress reports are coming out. Well, it's in the teacher handbook, but if you've got that information on the website, your employees can look at it. Prospective parents, prospective employees, neighboring districts. That's who your audience are. So what story does your website tell to those audiences? So additional questions asked. Who's authorized to edit the school website? Are they doing it the way that you want it done? Are authorized editors properly trained to edit and populate the content? You don't want just anything to be posted to a website. Do all editors understand ADA basic compliance? And do authorized editors have building level connections in order to collect content? So those are some additional questions for you to ask in your school. Newsletter. What's great about a newsletter? As I told you, when I first went to the high school principalship, we decided that we were going to put an electronic news letter, and it was going out every day. Questions to ask for that newsletter. What is the purpose of your school newsletter? Content is king. You want to make, don't send a newsletter out, it's just be basic to send one out. Send it out with meaningful content. Do parents, faculty, and staff read your newsletter? Try to do a survey, find out if they're doing it. Consider a platform like S'more. I do not work for S'more. It's something we use in our district, and it's an easy way to do a newsletter and track the analytics. What's the frequency? You can actually follow that on the analytics of S'more. How do you disseminate your newsletter? Do you text it? Do you email it? How do you ensure the quality? Are you looking at academics? Are you looking at athletics, extracurricular? Hopefully you're looking at all. And who proofs your newsletter before sending it? It's just like, for example, when we had one edition of the local newspaper that came out, and I want to think, do you remember what the language was? It wasn't English, it was some...
It's like Portuguese.
It was Portuguese, that just in this one little section, and we don't know what happened in the newspaper that week, but it actually happened. So make sure that you're proofing. Consider S'more. It's a live newsletter with a unique URL. It's easy to drag and drop. If you've not used S'more before, it's pretty reasonable. is for the purchase. A school district can buy several licenses. If you're I know some teachers that they'll just buy it for themselves because you can get it like a basic membership. There are some things that SMORE will do. It's a click and go. You can do polls, you can do surveys. You know, I know one year I think that we did a survey, I think what type of meal that people wanted at the Harvest Festival. I think that was because we wanted to know, do we keep going with chili like we've done it always, or do we look at something else? It's compatible with all platforms. It's easy, you can open it up in a phone. You've got preset designs available. Again, check out SMORE if you would like. Those are a lot of things that you can do. For example, if I do a monthly one, I can drop the board meeting in it. If we do a teacher banquet, we can drop that in it. It's just something that you can add into the website. School app. How many of you have a school app? School app is one of the most important things that's really helped our district. Now, we use an app that is not actually affiliated with our website. It's an app that will pretty well work on any website vendor that you've got. One thing I like about it is if we were to ever change websites, we don't lose those individuals. Lots of times the school they'll say, well, I'm going to change apps, but then people's got to go back and sign. And research shows that you're going to lose some of those individuals. Social media. That gives you a list of followers. Just for example, our district, that's something I would follow if you're over the district and you want to make certain that those numbers keep going. Is there a best time to post? If you want people's attention, you're going to look for the darkest. Sprout Social is great because it provides a lot of information about engagement. But if you look there on Wednesday and Thursday, between 12 and 2, that is going to be the time that you normally get people to look. And I will tell you, a lot of times if it's something I really want people to see, I'm going to do it during lunch break. Because what are you doing in your lunch break? You have your phone, you're looking at it, so hopefully you'll catch that.
Is that data? Sir? Is that data our data, or is that data for all Facebook?
That's global.
Okay.
Yep. If you want to do Instagram, the darker images is the best times to do Instagram. We do have some Instagram pages. I have not used one at the district level, but we do have someone that's doing sports that way. Twitter, Friday is shocking and everything, but Friday from 9 to 10 at 10 a.m. is usually the best time to tweet. Know your audience, know the platforms that they want to use. I mean, we use Facebook, Twitter, but we know still the majority of people are using Facebook. Consider theme days. If you're having a hard time coming up with something to put out, you don't have something to share, come up with theme day. Like Monday, be motivation. Tuesday is technology. Do something about friends on Friday. Make sure you use your hashtags. Also, camel case. Have y'all heard that before? On your hashtag, if you really want it to stand out for reading and for ADA compliance, camel case is where, for example, let's just say that one of our schools is Eagle Strong. You'd be capital E, capital S, but you want the first letter of each word to be capitalized because they say that is the way to get people's attention. Those are some organizations that sometimes follow your websites and your school systems. It's interesting, but if you have a school, go on those websites to see if they have got your information correct. Bonus, free resources. Everything that I have put in this presentation today, all the pictures are royalty free. For example, I've either gone to Unsplash, Pixabay, Pexels, everything, so therefore I'm not having to buy images. Free graphics, those are some websites. Lots of times if you want to put music behind the video, those are some websites that you can use. Resources I've used. Anyone ever heard of WordSwag? I love WordSwag. It costs, I don't know, maybe $2 a month. I'm not sure, but my wife told me about that because she was using it a lot. But for example, let's just say that I want to talk about a basketball game. I can go into WordSwag, type in basketball, and give me all these images about a basketball or a basketball court or something like that. Then I can click on the image. Then I can select, is it going to be a Facebook image? Is it going to be a Twitter image? Because it will automatically size the picture for me to where it's not distorted if I use it on like for Facebook or Twitter, because those are two different sizes. Then my biggest thing that I like at the end, it gives me the option if I want to put a logo on every picture. So for example, we use the county crest, so I can go at the end, I can place that crest on every image. But WordSwag, I love it. Screencastify. Anyone use Screencastify? Well, we started using it in our district when we had to go virtual during COVID, but we had teachers using it to do virtual lessons. We've got one principal in our district that he gets there early every morning and he does a video news announcement every day that he pushes out every morning. Our director of schools has used it when he's putting messages out. Class Intercom. Anyone ever heard of Class Intercom? Class Intercom is a tool that I started using this year, and I really I like it because how many of you does anyone do the social media in your district? A little bit. You know how sometimes you go in and you update on Twitter and then you then go straight to Facebook? What I like about Class Intercom, I can go to Class Intercom, I can type any message in there. I choose the platforms I want, it automatically places it, so it's just a one-stop shop. I like that. I also like the fact that they will provide me a list of every holiday or every, for example, if it's Nurses Day, if it's Lunchroom Appreciation Week, I mean, it fills all those things for me. And then, for example, I can schedule for months at a time and go in. So it's a pretty good product and everything. NESPRA joined National School Public Relations Association. They provide a lot of good information and just sort of good toolkits for you if you're working in media. If there's two books that I would recommend you reading, if you're into this or if you're working in social media, I would definitely read the book Branded by Eric Shenenger and Trish Rubin. And then The Power of Branding, Telling Your School Story. It is only about maybe 60 pages. It's written by a former principal who's now a current superintendent, Joe Sanfilippo. And if you ever get a chance to hear him at a conference, make sure you go to his session because he will have you fired up to go back to work. But those are two that I've utilized that I would recommend. So branding, it changed a lot during the pandemic, folks. I'm going to give you an example. And this is an example of Screencastify.
Hi, I'm Bill Heath, the Superintendent of Schools in Lincoln County. Today I'd like to announce to you a change in our reopening plans that we initiated for the reopening of schools this year. And this change involves students and parents who originally chose to be virtual and have now discovered that maybe it's more difficult or there's more issues with technology than they can handle from home, or for any reason. To be honest with you, we'd like for those parents and students to now have a choice to change back to in-person learning. Originally, the plan said that you would not be able to do that until the end of the first grading period. In reevaluating those plans and talking to some parents, and today and yesterday talking to our administrative team and teachers, and seeing what's best for our students as a core value number one, and also being able to weigh that with the impact on the instruction from our teachers, core value number two.
I won't play that whole message, but do you get the point? He's taking the story. He's using, he asked the teachers to use Screencastify, but what he did, he showed if it's worth teachers using it, I'm going to use it as a teachable tool. But he took the story, what we're dealing with, and he put it and placed it where parents wanted to see it. We got a newspaper, comes out once a week. He couldn't get that out there. But he can get the message using Screencastify, using Twitter, using Facebook, and he got it to the audience that he needed to know. And he was explaining the story, what our school system is going through, what is your kid going through. So we're trying to tell that story. So that was just a brief showing of that. Now I'm going to show you, I talked about, that if you have something good to say, make certain you tell that story.
Hi, I'm Bill Heath, Superintendent of Lincoln County Schools, and you may have heard we have had a banner year so far this year. Our schools were all level A schools in academic growth. We're in academic achievement. We're at the top of our region once again. On the A to F report card, we had 3 level A schools and 3 level B schools. We had 3 of our 6 schools named reward schools by the state of Tennessee, and our district was named an exemplary district, 1 of 7 in the entire state. So we're all very happy with that banner year we've had so far. Now we've received that we're actually getting another recognition from the state of Tennessee. Lincoln County Schools is being named a Best for All Tennessee district. And the reason for that is we focus on the whole child. We focus on our children academically, emotionally, physically, and morally. And as a result of us being named a Best for All Tennessee district, there's additional dollars that we'll be receiving in Lincoln County Schools to help our kids. There's additional resources that will be provided, and we'll be getting priority when grants become available. So again, congratulations to all the students, staff, and families in Lincoln County Schools for this recognition from the state of Tennessee as a Best for All district in Tennessee, and also congratulations to the other 66 districts in Tennessee that received this recognition.
So what happened? He told the story. He promoted the district. He promoted the staff. We're trying to retain and keep teachers. Maybe you can cross the line in another state and get more money, but the grass is not always greener. But we're going out of our way to thank them, commend them for what they're doing. What else can you do within the district? Well, during COVID, we made a decision that let's do something we've never done before. Let's purchase some video equipment, and let's try to highlight our schools.
Nestled in the fertile farmlands and deep hollows of eastern Lincoln County sits Flintville School. Our deep and rich tradition dates back to the first mention of starting a community school in 1871, and then beginning a 4-month school in 1872 taught by a gentleman named Dr. Simpson for $50 per month. There have been several configurations of Flintville School, including the old Flintville High School, Flintville Elementary, and Flintville Junior High. The current configurement is a pre-K through 8 setting. We fully believe in Lincoln County Schools' core value number 1, which is to educate the whole child, academically, physically, emotionally, and morally. At Flintville School, we want 3 things. A school where students want to come to learn, a school where teachers want to come to work, and for our school to be a light into the community. We are known for our standardized test scores, earning a reward school distinction, our all-inclusive playground, a culture of teacher collaboration, and for having a family environment. During the last few years, many different school districts and schools have visited us to learn how our PLC process works and why it is so effective for student learning and teacher effectiveness. Many of our faculty and staff, including our administrators, are former students who attended Flintville School and have a deep pride in Flintville heritage. Our school is also known for our very popular Harvest Festival that we host every school year. You can always find former Flintville High School students who still enjoy returning to the school site and walking through the halls where graduation classes, along with the old high school's faculty and staff from 1946 to 1979, are displayed along the walls in Tradition Hall. From time to time, graduating classes of Flintville High School will return to have their class reunions where these hallways become a memory walk of cherished memories. Recently returning former students have enjoyed seeing our new gym floor that is dedicated to the community's legendary principal, Joe Vann, who served as principal from 1954 until 1992. To stay connected with us, you can follow us on our social media accounts on Twitter and Facebook, where you will see #WinLC and #FlintvilleNation posts, showcasing our belief in our students, teachers, and positive culture. We believe that Flintville School encompasses our mission statement of a shared partnership between parents, teachers, and the community to provide a safe, secure, and positive learning environment in which students can learn and strive. Flintville School's vision is a school where all stakeholders work collaboratively and strive continuously for excellence. We are Flintville Nation.
So how did we make that happen? We purchased a video camera. We got a retired person from the Elk Valley Times who works as an aide for our district, who's our photographer, who's our videographer. The Voice is a parent who's got kids in our system, his full-time job is a minister. And we pulled it all together. So now every school in our district has a video that they can place on their website. So again, what did they say at the end? We brought it back to visit the website, our social media. We wanted to tell the story for each school, but we then brought it back how to follow the school. And as Eric Shenenger would say, if you don't tell your story, someone else will. And you may not like what they write about you or what they say in the news media. So you all know that education has changed a lot from the time that we were all in school. And there's more, there's negativity. And sometimes I think that they may be looking for the sensational and the negative to put on the 6 o'clock news or in the newspaper. But the one thing I would encourage you, if you're not telling your story, tell it. If you're working as a teacher in a school system, be willing to maybe help with the website. If you're an administrator and you're not involved with social media, get involved or find somebody within the district that you can rely on. And that concludes it. Anybody have any questions?
Is there any cost associated with having a school app?
A school app? Sometimes, for example, in your district, if you purchase a website, oftentimes the website will provide an app with it. Now, we could get an app with ours, but we're still using one called School Info app. And what I sort of like about it, a neighboring district in Middle Tennessee was using, and that's how we found out about it. But the one thing that I like about it, it's very minimal in pay. It depends on the number of schools that you got in the district. But for example, it'll integrate with most website vendors. And if you ever were to change websites, you still got your app. Any other questions?
John, when y'all went through with the color scheme for the Lincoln County school system, did you go with the colors you got and determine the codes for the colors, or did you determine codes on the front end and then ask?
Well, at the district level, we've not chosen the PMI color as far as for the district. Now, at South Lincoln, when the tornado hit this building and everything, for example, I know that blue at that building is called naval blue, and I know that green is Greenbelt, which is Sherwin-Williams colors, which they will tell you that's a good company to go with as far as determining your colors. You can take those colors and match it, or have someone to match it to a PMI, which that will give you a code that could be your school colors. Any other questions? Well, thank you for spending your afternoon with me.